talking about the pharmaceutical industry, we believe that we also talk in terms of the health of the society in general. Ladies and gentlemen, in here, we as the opening government, we do believe that the problem that we are facing in here is more likely how we are trying to relate with the access of this industry to every society, not only to the upper or the middle class, but also to the poor people. And ladies and gentlemen, what do we mean by this motion is that we believe all clinics will be under the governmental supervision, and also the price will be subsidized by the government. And also, we also assume that this motion is more likely similar with the situation where in our status quo, our government is already subsidizing the electricity and the water. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us just move forward to our goal, where in here we believe that our main goal is that we are aiming to help the most vulnerable people or the poor, and also we want everybody to have access to this kind of pharmaceutical industry, ladies and gentlemen. Now let us see in our urgency why we believe that our status quo is very problematic. Now in our status quo, we are possessing both the governmental or the nationalized pharmaceutical industry and also the private industry, right? In here we believe that it is very problematic. Why? Because firstly, the cost that the government does not possess the money to substitute or to contribute or to help the poor people, and in here the poor people does not possess any access to this kind of health industry, and it really harms the life of the poor itself, ladies and gentlemen. And in here we also believe it is very problematic. Why? Because firstly, because the upper and also the middle class are more likely contributing into the private pharmaceutical industry, and because of that, the nationalized pharmaceutical industry is aiming for a very expensive price, and in the end of the day, this kind of poor people does not have any access, or even if they have the access, they cannot pay the money, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why we believe it is very problematic. And we also see that the medicine that we are talking in here is like all kind of medicine, especially in terms of the medicine that is used to treat the rare diseases, for example, like cancer or like HIV and etc. This kind of disease is not only aiming for the upper and also the middle class, right? This disease is also aiming for the poor people, and we think that by this kind of motion, we truly can cure the problem in our status quo. Now, let us just move forward to our substantive, where in here, I'm going to deliver two justifications about, firstly, I'm going to talk about the essential needs, which will be related into the social contract of the government. And secondly, I'm also going to talk about why is it more effective to only have the nationalized one instead of having both private and nationalized pharmaceutical industry. Now, let us just move forward to our first justification about the essential needs that is related to the social contract of government. Ladies and gentlemen, before we are moving further, let us see the characterization of what I mean by this essential need. In here, we characterize the essential needs as something that every society needs regardless the social status that they are in. For example, like the poor, no matter if you are poor or you are rich, you are still possessing this kind of aspect of life, which is health, ladies and gentlemen. And second characterization of essential needs is we believe that if it is not fulfilled, in the end of the day, it will harm the society and also the government, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let us just see why we believe that this kind of pharmaceutical industry is similar with, is being said as an essential needs. Because in here, firstly, we believe this pharmaceutical industry or health is really related to, for example, like electricity and also the water. In our status quo, we are subsidizing the electricity and water because of what? Because we believe that every person cannot live without electricity and water, right? As same as in our situation right now, everyone cannot live if you don't possess the healthy life, ladies and gentlemen. gentlemen. And in here, we see that why health is an important product in the society as general. Because firstly, we believe that if you are as a society, you do not possess health, then you cannot do certain things. For example, when you are sick, you cannot do your job properly, you cannot operate your system properly, right? And this is why we believe that the health is contributed or is very related into the essential needs. Now, why government should take part in fulfilling these essential needs? Because again and again, we believe in the term of social contract, where the government is carrying the moral responsibility to help not only the rich or not only the middle class, but also the poor, right? Why? Because the poor is the very first place already casted their right to vote for the most perfect government for them, the most suitable government for them, to help them in term of life. And when it comes to essential needs, we believe that this government possesses this social contract to help them. Because of why? Because the poor people is also part of the society that the government needs to protect, ladies and gentlemen. And now, let us see into our second justification about why is it more effective to only have the nationalized one instead of having both private and nationalized. Ladies and gentlemen, if we divide the society into the upper, middle, and also the low class, we believe that the upper and the middle class will more likely contribute into the private pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because in here we believe that the private pharmaceutical industry is possessing competition, and this kind of competition, we believe this kind of competition is producing the better medicine for the better quality of the medicine. But in here, again, we need to highlight what our main goal is. We want everybody to have the access to this kind of pharmaceutical industry instead of the quality itself. But in here, we also need to see that the government is not a stupid government. The government will absolutely provide the best medicine for the society, ladies and gentlemen. And now, we believe that if the government, if the upper and the middle class is contributing the money to the private company, we believe that the government will not have this kind of amount of money that will distribute it to the poor, right? And that is why we believe that it is more effective, and that is why we are proud to propose.